Heartwarming moment. Little girl's three-word plea revealed an incredible truth to a millionaire CEO. In the heart of a bustling suburban town, the sun glistened on a little ice cream shop called Sweet Dreams. It was a haven, filled with the joyful squeals of children and the laughter of families bonding over rich, creamy scoops. Maria, a devoted single mother, ran the shop with love, pouring her soul into every flavor, every customer, and every moment. Her daughter Emma, a spirited little girl with a wild imagination and a heart full of dreams, was the sunshine of her life. Together, they created memories and a community that cherished the simple pleasures of life. One sunny day, while Emma giggled playing tag with a new friend from a struggling family, the cluttered yet cozy atmosphere of the shop shifted dramatically. Thomas, a millionaire CEO with a reputation for cold calculations, entered the store in a sharp suit that contrasted starkly with the pastel colors of the ice cream shop. His piercing gaze swept over the shop, scanning it like a hawk ready to prey. "Urban development is the future," he commented disdainfully, his words hanging heavily in the air. Families paused mid-scoop, their laughter fading as his presence dominated. Maria felt a warmth flush her cheeks. How dare he undermine the heart of their town? She stepped up, her resolve solidifying. "This store is more than an investment, Mr. Thomas. It's a part of our lives. It's where families gather, where dreams are made." Her voice quivered slightly, but the fire in her heart shone bright. Emma, overhearing the exchange, felt a rush of courage. She approached Thomas with wide, trusting eyes that sparkled like the sun. "Help my mom," she said simply, the innocence behind her words wrapping around everyone like a warm embrace. The room fell silent, and Maria's eyes widened, a mix of hope and fear spiraling through her chest. Thomas was caught off guard. The bluntness of a child shattered the walls he had built around his heart. The tension in the air thickened. As those words echoed, the patrons exchanged glances, their own stories flooding back fears of losing their homes, battling for groceries, and dreaming of a better tomorrow. The loyalty in their eyes ignited that small ice cream shop into a fortress of resilience. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The community rallied around Maria, sharing their stories, voices blending into a powerful chant. "We work hard. Our dreams matter." Thomas's confident facade began to crack under the weight of their truth, his heavy gaze flickering with unease. Maria stood tall, embodying every mother's fight for her family. She was torn, feeling the temptation of a new life, yet rooted in the warmth of the life she had built. Just as Thomas thought about writing a check that could change everything for Maria, a familiar voice called out from the back, a challenge born of decades of hard experience. "Think about what you're really doing." The words hung in the air, urging him to confront a truth he had long avoided. Would he choose transformation or continue dwelling in the fortress of profits? Emma's innocent hope flickered like a beacon, guiding not only her mother, but also everyone around them. Could they change him? Would he stand on the brink of redemption, the ultimate choice resting heavily in the balance? The tension in the ice cream shop felt like a thick blanket, smothering the dissent and bringing focus to Thomas's wavering resolve. Around him, the employees and patrons waited, their eyes full of expectation, as if he held the fate of the little shop in his hands. Maria's heart raced. She could feel both hope and dread battling within her. Would Thomas understand what was at stake? A moment of truth, she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. Thomas raised an eyebrow, perplexed, and Maria took a step toward him. She squared her shoulders, channeling every ounce of strength and love for her daughter and her community. "What happens here at Sweet Dreams isn't just about ice cream. It's about joy, connection, and belonging. These families, our families, depend on this place." The murmurs of agreement echoed softly around the shop, a gentle chorus of support. Even Emma, gripping her little friend's hand tightly, didn't blink as she observed the grown-ups, sensing the importance of the moment. Thomas toyed with the cufflinks of his shirt, his mind seemingly racing behind those steely blue eyes. How could this sweet little shop matter against the grand vision of urban development? Frustration etched lines on his forehead, but deep down, an unsettling thought began to creep in. They can't all be wrong, he muttered under his breath. He took a deep breath, tension visibly departing his shoulders as he surveyed the faces looking back at him. They were ordinary, hard-working people, moms, dads, and children hanging on the edge of their hopes. Something within him sparked. It was subtle at first, a flicker of recognition mingling with the memories of his own childhood, laughter at birthday parties, chasing ice cream trucks, and evening cookouts. Is this really all there is? Success built on the backs of others? He thought, grappling with inner conflict. Suddenly, he glanced at Emma, her small face full of earnestness, and he felt the weight of his past choices pressing down harder than ever. The lengths he had gone to achieve success flooded his memory: neglect, solitude, a family he had pushed away. I can't. He began reclaiming his voice, but it wasn't full of conviction. Something changed in him. Maybe their pleas melted the icy exterior he had donned for too long. I can't just walk away, can I? Silence fell hard once more. He wasn't just speaking to the crowd. He was wrestling with himself. Doubts and fears were laid bare, and a single tear formed in the corner of his eye, cutting through the mask he wore. Maria stepped closer, her voice steady, yet laced with compassion. It's never too late to make a difference, Mr. Thomas. You could choose to help us, to be part of something meaningful. For a fleeting moment, their gazes locked, two souls caught in a struggle that transcended wealth and ambition. They stood there, surrounded by the warmth of community and a glimmer of hope. Thomas opened his mouth to speak, but the words shattered as he was enveloped in a sea of understanding. Was it time to let go of the fortress he had built? He was poised on the edge of fate, the fate of sweet dreams and all its vibrant stories lying in his hands. Just then, a voice from the back shouted, "You can do what's right." With the stakes escalating, Maria took a gentle breath, the fear and hope dancing within her. Will you help us? She was barely able to contain the tremor in her voice. As Thomas's expression shifted, a newfound resolve gleamed in his eyes. The crowd leaned forward. What would he say? Would he embrace the change waiting right before him? The answer still hung in the air, an electric charge riding the silence. One final choice loomed, and it was about to shatter everything they thought they knew. Thomas felt the weight of 1,000 memories pressing against his chest. The warmth of childhood laughter, the sweet taste of his favorite ice cream, the innocence of holding his mom's hand as they walked to a shop not unlike this one. In that moment, he was transported back in time, where success wasn't measured in skyscrapers or balance sheets, but rather in fleeting moments shared with those he loved. You can do what's right. The voice rang out again, snapping him back to reality. He looked at the eager faces before him, each pair of eyes waiting for a glimmer of hope. Emma's wide eyes, filled with anticipation, pierced through his heart. She was no one special, yet in that moment, she embodied everything that mattered: community, love, and dreams. His voice wavered, caught between ambition and the soft pull of humanity. This was not just an ice cream shop. It was a sanctuary for so many, a place where moments froze in time, much like the creamy confections they served. I can't promise anything, but I can't turn my back on you all, he finally said, the resolve building in his chest. That a wave of gasps spread through the crowd, followed by anxious whispers. Maria felt her pulse quicken. Could this be the turning point? The very air seemed to hum with a collective sigh of relief. She stepped forward, heart racing as she grasped the significance of his words. Mr. Thomas, if we come together, we can create something beautiful, she urged, her voice steady. If we work hand in hand, we might just change the course of this town. You can help us preserve this place, this community. He could see the fire in her eyes, the hope reflected in the others gathering around them. A timid, yet determined spirit seized control of his heart. Suddenly, those cufflinks he had fiddled with felt like shackles binding him to a past he no longer recognized. You're right, he said, his voice growing stronger. Maybe I didn't realize before how much a place like this means. I've been chasing shadows, chasing dreams that don't fill the void in my heart. As he spoke, a sense of clarity washed over him like a warm breeze. Unbelievably, The chains of corporate ambition began to rust, rooted deeply in promises unkept. Let us put our heads together, he continued. I want to meet with local leaders. Maybe we can propose a different vision for the development. The crowd erupted into cheers, disbelief morphing into joyous celebration. Maria's breath hitched as she reached for Emma, pulling her into a tight embrace. They were facing the unknown, yet a hope grew within them, transformative and tender, as though ripples were emerging on tranquil water. Thomas felt light, unburdened from burdens he had carried for so long. He stepped off the pedestal of his corporate life, standing shoulder to shoulder with the people around him. He had found an unexpected alliance in a place he thought he'd never consider. The reality that had once seemed distant now sparkled with possibility. But as they celebrated, a distant rumble began to stir, the sound of thundering news reports, of investors clamoring for an update. A shadow flickered on his resolve. What if they didn't understand? What if the board fought him every step of the way? Over the buzzing excitement of the crowd, Thomas felt doubts crawling back in. Would this newfound alliance withstand the external pressures he would have to face? As he looked out at the smiling faces before him, the decisions he had to make felt monumental. How could he protect sweet dreams when larger forces loomed around? Would his commitment hold firm against the tide of ambition? The answers remained just out of reach. The cheers rang in Thomas's ears, but a tightening in his chest reminded him of the uncertainty ahead. The weight of the crowd's joy made him feel buoyant yet burdened. As he glanced around, the smiles of Emma and Maria transformed into beacons of hope, but the echo of potential corporate fallout loomed ominously in his mind. He stepped back, trying to absorb the energy whipping around him. We need a plan, he called out, raising his hands to gather their attention. Let us not lose this momentum. The crowd silenced instantly, hungry for direction. Maria stepped forward again, her spirit unwavering. We can create a community meeting, she suggested. Let us invite everyone to share their ideas. We have to show them how much this place means. Yes, someone shouted, and a ripple of agreement surged through the audience. As the group began to discuss logistics, Thomas felt the flicker of determination reignite within him. They could build something real together, something grounded in love and community. The thought sparked a mixture of excitement and fear, like standing at the edge of a diving board, knowing the jump could either bring elation or dread. What if you spoke at the meeting? Maria added, meeting his gaze. Your voice carries weight. They need to hear from someone involved with the development. Her suggestion hung in the air, electrifying and daunting. Thomas's heart raced. Could he really stand before a community tied to a dream that wasn't his own? The company man inside him recoiled at the thought, but a deeper part of him fluttered with possibility. I will, he finally declared, surprising himself. I'll speak, and I'll listen. Applause erupted again, but underneath it, he could feel the tremors of doubt. He knew the corporate board wouldn't simply let him walk away from their plans without a fight. The investors were waiting, hungry for numbers and profits, not dreams and values. He couldn't ignore their pressure. They wouldn't easily be swayed by emotional pleas. As he glanced back at the crowd, their eyes shining with hope, he felt a tug of loyalty. How could he balance this? The very air felt charged with anticipation, and a nervous energy danced through his body. They launched into planning, listing possible community members to invite. Each name brought a surge of hope and a flicker of doubt. What if their efforts were in vain? What if the community wasn't strong enough to withstand the might of corporate interests? Just then, a little voice piped up from somewhere in the crowd. What happens if they don't listen? It was Emma, looking up at him with wide, innocent eyes. Her question sent a jolt through him. The same question looped in his mind. What if they crushed this spirit of hope, this shared dream, before it even began? He dropped to one knee, meeting her gaze. Then we make them listen, he replied, his voice steady. Together, we will show them why this matters. A wave of affirmation surged around him, and he felt the soothing warmth of unity. Let us get to work, he said, standing up, and an unexpected smile crept across his face. As the group scattered into smaller teams, he found himself lingering by Emma. What do you think, kiddo? He asked, crouching down to her level again. I think it's going to be really great, Mr. Thomas, she replied, a hint of belief shimmering in her eyes. But what if they try to take away our ice cream shop? Her words hung in the air, sounding alarm bells in his mind. Could he really protect this place, this slice of happiness where dreams were, for many, real and tangible? Would his softening heart be enough against the iron grip of numbers and profits? As everyone dove into action, anxiety stirred in his gut. Could he truly fight for them, for their dreams, when his own world was tethered to the unseen boardrooms and financial stakes? The answers felt daunting, swirling among the excitement and dread. As he walked away from the crowd, a single thought echoed above the rest. Was he ready for the battle that lay ahead? The sun began its descent, casting a golden glow over the gathered crowd. Thomas felt the warm brightness on his skin, but a chill settled deep in his belly. He turned to watch as Maria rallied the community into purposeful action, the sound of enthusiasm ringing in his ears. They were ready to fight for their dreams, yet with each cheer, doubt crept closer like a shadow at dusk. Thomas moved through the crowd, nodding at faces he recognized, and some he didn't see. Each person had a story. Each name whispered a connection to their shared dream. The community meeting would bring them all together, a hopeful gathering. Yes, but also a daunting opportunity to stand against an establishment that seemed determined to bulldoze everything in its path. "Hey, Mr. Thomas," shouted a voice from behind him. It was Jake, the young mechanic who worked at the garage just down the street. "You really going to talk to the board? They've been pushing hard with their plans." The urgency in Jake's voice reminded Thomas just how fragile their dream felt. "Yeah, I am," Thomas said, summoning a smile. "But I need everyone's help. We need to show them what this place means to us." Jake nodded, a hint of optimism breaking through his concern. "You got it, man. We can't let them turn this into another cold building. It's home." As Thomas stepped away, he noticed Emma again, her small figure sitting cross-legged on the grass, a frown creasing her forehead. Something about her furrowed brow tugged at him. He knelt beside her. "Hey there, kiddo. You okay?" "I just don't want them to take away our ice cream shop, Mr. Thomas," she repeated, her voice smaller, filled with worry. "It's where we have birthday parties, remember? And where I had my first scoop." His heart broke a little at her earnestness. "You know, it's not just an ice cream shop. It's memories, friends, laughter." He paused, realizing it was more than just a building. They were talking about a sanctuary, a place where dreams were nurtured. After a short silence, Emma looked up at him with those bright, hopeful eyes. "Then we really need to make them listen, right?" The certainty in her words reignited the fire within him. "Absolutely, Emma. We will. Together." But the nagging doubt still loomed. As he ruminated on their impending meeting, the tension in his chest tightened once more. If the board pushed back hard, and they would, what strength would it take to stand his ground? Later that night, he sat alone in his small office, the faint click of the ceiling fan echoing the scattered thoughts in his mind. He scanned the documents in front of him, financial projections, numbers that screamed profit-driven decisions. Each figure was a barrier, a fortress that he feared was insurmountable. But amidst the corporate jargon, he felt the stirring of something stronger. What he needed was a strategy not about dollars, but about dreams, the spirit of community, the laughter of children enjoying ice cream under the sun, the shared memories of a place that truly mattered. As the stars began to twinkle outside his window, he closed his eyes for a moment. Could he harness that spark of joy? Could he turn it into a force the board couldn't ignore? It was time to find out. With newfound determination, he grabbed a pen and began writing his speech, channeling not just facts and figures, but the essence of what they were fighting for. Would it be enough to change minds, to open hearts? The thought flickered painfully through him, but he knew he had to try. Tomorrow, he would speak. Tomorrow, he would have to summon every ounce of courage he had. But what if the board didn't care about dreams at all? Morning light poured through the window of Thomas's office, illuminating the scattered papers and creating a patch of warmth over his desk. He took a deep breath, feeling the butterflies fluttering in his stomach more vigorously than ever. Today was the day. The meeting with the board was hours away, and he needed to be ready. The weight of responsibility settled heavily on his shoulders, but the image of Emma's hopeful face lingered in his mind. Grounding him, he reviewed his speech, the messy scrawl filled with passionate pleas, but also the undeniable truth that it wouldn't sway the board if it was solely built on emotion. There were numbers they all craved, facts that measured success in hard currency. And yet, how could he quantify the joy, the community spirit, and the memories wrapped around that ice cream shop. With a determined gleam in his eye, he pushed himself away from the desk. Forget the figures, he muttered to himself. It's about heart. It's about us. He lined up the chairs and gathered some props. Photos from the shop, children grinning with sticky faces, the town's annual ice cream festival, and even the old sign that hung above the shop. Slightly askew, but full of character. As he polished those images in his mind, a knock interrupted his thoughts. Maria peeked in, her face a mix of encouragement and concern. Hey, ready for today? Trying my best, Thomas replied, forcing a smile. Just hoping the board will see it like we do. She stepped inside, glancing at the photos he had arranged. Thomas, you're not just fighting for a place. You're fighting for a feeling, a community. Just speak from your heart. Her words drummed a rhythm inside him. He pictured Emma again, her innocent plea echoing like a bell, clear and earnest. Could that be the thread that tied the community together? Together, they made their way to the community center, the excitement palpable in the air. The gathering had grown since yesterday, the townsfolk showing their solidarity. Hand in hand, they formed a colorful wave of shirts, hats, and banners. Thomas stepped forward, standing in front of the crowd, heart pounding with trepidation. He cleared his throat, feeling the collective gaze on him. They believed in this. He had to believe, too. Today, we stand not just for ice cream. He began, letting the hum of chatter calm him. We stand for laughter shared and memories forged. We stand to protect our home. Cheers erupted, the sound wrapping around him like a warm blanket. The energy surged in the room, filling the spaces in between. This wasn't just a fight. It was a movement, he continued, weaving together stories from people in the crowd, the birthday parties, the late-night summer gatherings, the lessons learned. This isn't just about saving a building. It's about nurturing a community, about keeping the heart of our town alive. As Thomas spoke, he could see the board members trickle into the meeting room, their expressions shifting from indifference to intrigue. He pressed on, affirming that numbers might show profit, but hearts carried weight that couldn't be measured. With each sentence, he felt the fear dissipating, rising to the challenge that lay ahead. Just as he launched into a story about Emma's first scoop, the door opened completely, and the board members' faces fell. Is that what they're prepared to lose? He asked, nodding toward the community standing behind him. Hopeful and united, as Thomas delivered the final lines, he caught a whiff of something sweet in the air, faint but unmistakable. He followed his nose and spotted a little ice cream cart set up outside. The sign read, "Help save our scoop." But it wasn't just about the ice cream cart. What would happen if they didn't listen? Could he confront the board knowing that? The chair at the head of the table, where the board president usually sat, now felt like an anchor weighing him down. Would his words pierce through the layers of corporate armor? The moment of truth was drawing nearer. Would they hear him? Would they care? Or would the fat cats in suits still only hear the sound of the dollars slipping through their fingers? The room fell into an awkward silence as Thomas stared at the board members, whose expressions had turned stony. Brief flashes of doubt crossed his mind. Had he missed the mark in his speech? Had his heart-infused words failed to land? He took a steadying breath, feeling the weight of the moment pulse through him like a drumbeat. Just then, a familiar face pushed through the crowd, and his heart soared at the sight of Emma's bright blue dress bouncing as she squeezed past the adults, her tiny hands clutching a piece of paper tightly. She made her way to the front, where she stood, eyes wide. Determination set into her little features. "Mr. Thomas," she called out, her voice ringing clear as a bell. The crowd parted slightly, a ripple of curiosity running through the gathered people. Everyone turned to face her, and Thomas felt a wave of warmth wash over him. In that moment, it was as if the world had slowed down, allowing them to share a precious connection. "What is it, sweetie?" he asked, kneeling down to her level. Emma smiled shyly, a mix of excitement and fear tugging at her lips. "I wrote a letter for the board." She unfolded the piece of paper, her small fingers trembling slightly as she held it up. "Can you read it for us?" Thomas encouraged, the air thick with anticipation. The crowd leaned in, eager, hearts intertwined in that communal hope. Emma took a deep breath and began, "Dear board, please don't close the ice cream shop. It means so much to all of us. When I eat ice cream there, I feel happy and loved. My favorite memory is when I shared a cone with my best friend. It was the best day ever. There wasn't a dry eye in the house. Thank you for reading that, Emma. Thomas spoke softly, fighting back tears himself. You've reminded us all why we're here. He glanced back at the board members, who appeared visibly affected, even the most stoic of them shifting in their seats. This is exactly what it's all about, a sense of community, the memories we hold dear, and the joy we share. It's worth fighting for. Emma smiled brightly, her innocence radiating hope into the room. The board president, a man whose reputation as a hardliner was well known, shifted in his seat once more. His brow furrowed, and the look on his face was softer than before. Young lady, he began, his voice surprisingly gentle. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Your words carry a lot of weight. The room buzzed with murmurs, and for a moment, Thomas felt the tide begin to turn. Perhaps the rational arguments he had made had struck a chord, but Emma's pure honesty cut deeper, like a knife slicing through corporate coldness. But even as hope blossomed, uncertainty lingered. Would they genuinely listen? Could Emma's 3 simple words evoke enough change? As the board members exchanged glances, Thomas felt the adrenaline surge through him. He'd done everything he could, but this wasn't over. He needed to turn this moment into a movement, one that couldn't be ignored. He took a deep breath, steadied himself, and continued. Can we really turn our backs on what this place means to us? Are we willing to let this small girl's happiness be sacrificed for profit margins? The murmurs quieted. Even the board members regarded each other with new expressions: curiosity, concern, and a hint of consideration. Thomas could see doubt prickling at their defenses, and suddenly, the future felt uncertain, yet full of possibility. Standing there, facing not just the board, but an entire community united, he felt Derek's presence tighten in his chest. This was not only about ice cream. It was about something deeper, something they were all part of. How could they turn away from that? As he finished speaking, the moment hung heavily in the air. Emma returned to her spot, but the sparkle in her eyes stayed, a beacon of hope. The board members were still whispering, exchanging glances that could indicate a shift, but one question remained on everyone's mind. Would they truly choose to listen? In that silence, Thomas felt the stirring of change. Would the board finally see beyond the dollars? Would Emma's innocent plea lead to a transformation they never expected? The heartbeat of the room pulsed with anticipation, and Thomas knew that whatever happened next could redefine their community forever. But then he saw the board president about to speak again, and his heart raced. Would they answer the call of the people, or would they let the moment pass? The board president cleared his throat, and an electric hush descended, filled with the weight of countless unspoken words. Thomas held his breath, captivated by the moment, knowing that the next few seconds could change everything. Thank you, Emma, the president began, looking directly at the young girl with genuine regard. And thank you, Thomas, for reminding us of what truly matters. It's easy to forget that as numbers and spreadsheets consume our days. His voice carried a surprising warmth, and Thomas dared to hope. As the president continued to speak, a wave of emotion washed over the room. We all have our own memories tied to the ice cream shop. He trailed off, his eyes glistening. I remember sharing my first double scoop with my late wife. It was a simple joy, but it stayed with me. He hesitated, glancing at the board members beside him. This isn't just a business for us, but a part of our lives, too. The murmurs swelled, voices mixing with soft laughter and surprised gasps, a community awakening. Even the most hardened board member, a woman known for her harsh criticisms, smiled as she recalled a childhood memory of her own. Encouraged, Thomas seized the moment. We can transform this space. It can be a hub of joy and connection again, not just for profit, but for everyone around us. He scanned the room, fueled by a fierce hope that their unity would speak louder than anything he could say alone. So many families cherish this place. And what Emma reminded us is that the simplest memories can often hold the most significance. Emma stood proudly, emboldened by the support surrounding her. As she looked around, her small face beamed, instinctively understanding the magnitude of what was happening. Let us call for a vote, Thomas suggested, energy flowing from every corner of the room. We can be the voice for our community. Let us not let this end here, but rather make it the start of something new. Some board members nodded while others whispered among themselves. A palpable tension hung in the air as the reality of it all settled in. They were at a crossroads. And then, as if on cue, the board president nodded. All right, a vote, then. His tone echoed determination, something Thomas had never thought he'd hear from him. We'll not only consider the numbers, but the stories, the lives we touch. The atmosphere thickened with anticipation, the crowd squeezing closer together, united by the possibility of change. But just before the president could officially call for the vote, one board member, a younger man with a hesitant glance, stood up. Can I say something? His voice broke through the tension. He seemed nervous but earnest. I didn't think much of the shop before today, but Emma's words made me think of my own childhood memories. I realized how important places like this are. Gasps filled the room again, and Thomas's heart quickened. If this young man could speak out, maybe others would follow. He could feel the community's energy shifting, like a tide growing stronger. Then, suddenly, a loud crash broke the moment. All heads turned toward the back, where a large display had fallen, scattering papers everywhere. Thomas's heart sank, fearing it was a bad omen. As the crowd gasped collectively, he rushed to help, but an unexpected voice halted him in his tracks. Wait, Emma shouted, her tiny hands raised. Everyone turned to her, curiosity blending with worry. We can clean it up together. She smiled with unwavering confidence, a stark contrast to the chaos around them. In that instant, Thomas realized she embodied the spark they all needed, the ability to unite in laughter and camaraderie, even in the face of uncertainty. What would happen next? Would they come together, not only to vote, but to rekindle the essence of community? As everyone observed Emma with admiration, it felt pivotal. Thomas held his breath, eager to see if her shining example would light the way. And then he wondered, amid the unfolding confusion and newfound strength, how this would reshape their lives beyond the decision about the ice cream shop. Would this moment become a catalyst for something even greater? Would they find their common ground not just as board members and community members, but as neighbors, as family? The silence fell heavy after Emma spoke up, her voice slicing through the air like a warm breeze. It was as if she had cast a spell, reminding everyone of who they were and what they had come for. Thomas watched in wonder as the crowd began to stir, glancing at one another with renewed energy. Let us do it, then. Someone shouted from the back, rising to the occasion like a flame igniting. More voices joined in as people rose to their feet, extending hands and gathering supplies lying around. The atmosphere pulsed with a collective heartbeat, their shared purpose igniting a sense of camaraderie that had almost vanished. With every person that moved toward the fallen display, Thomas felt that tight knot in his chest unravel. He raised his own hands to help, but Emma tugged his sleeve gently. Come on, Mr. Thomas. We need you to lead, she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with mischief and determination. He couldn't argue with her. Stepping forward, he began directing the cleanup. Okay, everyone, let us pick up those papers first. Emma, could you help me over there? They moved together, and as they did, their laughter rang through the space, bouncing off walls like music. Gradually, others joined. The younger board member, still glowing from his earlier confession, began chatting casually with someone who used to despise him. A couple of the older ladies, who had been clenching their arms tightly until moments before, found themselves sharing stories while picking up colorful flyers and scattered brochures. The tangible energy in the room shifted. It wasn't just about the ice cream shop anymore. It was about reclaiming their memories, their laughter, and the relationships that had faded into the background. Thomas watched how Emma's simple request for teamwork manifested into something so much bigger. They were being rebuilt as a community. After a flurry of movement, the display was upright again, the papers carefully stacked, and laughter filled the air. Never had ice cream felt more meaningful. Thomas turned to the board president, who wore a look of amazement mixed with pride. I suppose you're ready for that vote now? The president inquired, a playful smile breaking across his face. Absolutely, Thomas replied, the atmosphere having shifted entirely from debates to something far more personal. Shall we do it? The president nodded, his eyes sweeping the crowd filled with joy and unity. As they all settled into their seats, Thomas took a deep breath. He felt a shift inside, a warmth blossoming in his chest. He understood that this had become about more than preserving a shop. It was about nurturing their lives, their legacies. Okay, let us move forward, the president began once more, gathering the crowd's attention with gravitas. All those in favor of revitalizing the ice cream shop? Hands shot up instantly, a wave of yes ringing out. Thomas's heart raced, each hand representing a life intertwined with fond memories, a shared history wrapped in laughter, love, and now, hope for the future. But then, before the president's hammer could make contact with the gavel's sound, a voice from the crowd interrupted. What if we didn't just revitalize the shop? What if we turned it into something even more meaningful? Everyone fell silent again, their gazes snapping to the direction of the unfamiliar voice. It was a woman he didn't recognize, standing tall and confident. The ripple of curiosity washed over the room. What did she mean? Could this moment morph into another chance for transformation? Thomas's heart skipped a beat. As ideas crackled like electricity, he couldn't help but wonder what lay ahead. Were they on the brink of creating something truly remarkable, far beyond ice cream? Thomas felt the air shift again, a crackling excitement replacing the tension that had hung so thickly before. The voices from the crowd rippled with anticipation as the woman continued. Why not make Sweet Dreams a community center for all? We could offer classes for children, workshops for adults, and host family days, all centered around the heart of this ice cream shop. The crowd erupted in a chorus of murmurs, excitement bubbling like frothy ice cream topped with whipped cream. Maria's eyes lit up, and she glanced over at Thomas, her expression radiant. Imagine it a place where dreams are born. We could turn this into a space for connection, for growth, she said, her voice full of hope. Every word she spoke kindled a fire in Thomas's heart. The idea felt electric, igniting memories of laughter and community. Yes, he shouted, caught up in the spirit of the moment. That's exactly what we need. A hub for families to come together, to support one another. We could host ice cream making classes for kids, cooking nights, and community discussions. The cheers grew louder. Each person's voice was a step closer to realizing something beautiful. Emma jumped up and down, her little hand flailing excitedly. And we can make special flavors together. What if we name them after our memories? Laughter erupted as families chimed in with suggestions, blending lives and laughter into a collective tapestry of dreams. What about birthday cake bliss for celebrations? Someone chimed in, and the suggestions sparked like firecrackers. The board members shifted, swept up in this wave of energy. They were witnessing a true community revival. It was no longer just about preserving an ice cream shop, it was about creating a legacy. Let us vote. The board president proposed, his features warming with a smile as he caught the infectious enthusiasm. Those in favor of not just saving the shop, but revitalizing it into a community hub? Hands shot up again, fervor echoing through the space. "Aye," shouted Thomas, his voice nearly lost in the roar of support. The air was electric, thick with hope and determination, the promise of something profound ready to unfold. Yes, all in favor, the president chimed, smiling broadly as the overwhelming chorus of voices lifted in affirmation. The sound was a tidal wave of excitement crashing against the shores of doubt. Thomas had never felt anything like it suddenly. The weight he had been carrying transformed into buoyancy. Pure joy surged, wrapping around him like a warm embrace. The voices harmonized into a symphony, a beautiful chorus of love, connection, and dreams. "This is what it's all about," he exclaimed, looking out at the sea of shining faces. Not just patrons and residents. They were a family united in a common mission. As the meeting concluded, Thomas looked around, taking in the sheer magnitude of what they had achieved. Emma raced forward, wrapping her tiny arms around him, her excitement infectious. "We did it. We helped everyone." Her bright eyes sparkled, innocence and wisdom mingling effortlessly. "Yes, we did," he whispered, kneeling down to hold her close. Her warm hug grounded him. The crowd erupted into celebration, laughter ringing through the air like music. Maria stepped up beside Thomas, her pride palpable. "Thank you for believing in us, Thomas. You turned this around. You've become part of us." With a heart full of gratitude, he replied, "I didn't just change, we all did. This," he gestured toward the faces glowing with happiness, "is what makes a community thrive." As the crowd swirled around them, Thomas felt lighter than air. He had shed the shackles of isolation and ambition that had bound him for too long. What started as a simple plea from a little girl had ignited a fire that would push against every corporate boundary. Together they had created a movement, something far more powerful than he could have imagined. In that moment, Thomas realized he was home. No longer a spectator caught in a chaotic world of numbers and stress. He had found his purpose, standing shoulder to shoulder within this community, leading with love, and embracing the dreams that had once slipped away. As the sun sank lower, casting a golden hue over the neighborhood, it felt like a new dawn was beginning, not just for sweet dreams, but for everyone who had dared to hope big. And now, if you haven't yet subscribed immediately to the channel, you need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories that inspire and transform. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and praise this incredible journey. Your likes make a real difference. Comment with your reactions. How did this ending make you feel? And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Real change happens when we lift each other up.